Maybe not. There's going to be a theme soon. Maybe they'll make a big advertising campaign. I initially agreed to do it for 1 year. I think I must be on my 3rd year already. Okay, I'm on at 12:56. Let's see if anybody comes today. Otherwise, I'm going home. Never had a situation where nobody came, so I'm sure it'll be somebody, but I'm a bit early. Leah, can I trouble you for a glass or bottle of water, please? Plain water. Thank you. Whatever.
Tati, Hazel said that it's loaded shedding till 2, and so her lift isn't working till 2. And then there's a lot of stairs to get up to it, so maybe you want to go like 1:45ish so that we can be there by 2.
What are you thinking that everything?
Oh, my first customer. Hello, Stephen. Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello, Rabbi.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Great, and I hear you too, so we're in business. I'm on my laptop in Cape Town. Remind me where you live?
Hang on.
Remind me where do you stay? Remind me.
I'm in Sea Point.
In Sea Point. Okay. I'm in Gardens.
That's where you are. You're in Gardens, right?
I can wave to you.
Absolutely. Yeah, welcome to. Well, this is like your second home about now.
Yeah, we're spending more time in Cape Town these days. Now that I became Rabbi Emeritus, I can travel and spend more time with our kids.
Wonderful family. Yeah, absolutely wonderful.
Thank you so much.
So, yeah, you're blessed. Cape Town is blessed to have them.
That's true. That's true. We're very happy that they're making a contribution to this community.
Oh, wow. You might say so. So why are we, why are the others late?
That's a good question. Well, my watch says 12:59, so
Oh,
maybe we'll give him we'll give him another minute or two. Otherwise, you'll have a private share.
wow, personal attention. No extra cost, right?
No extra cost at all.
Yeah, I think we've actually got load shedding. Oh, you haven't got load. Oh, you should have load shedding actually.
Thank
I think
God,
when
at the Feldman's house and gardens, they don't get load shedding for some reason. I don't know why.
okay, wow.
The rabbi has been exempt. I don't know if it's because of parliament or rabbinic status. What is it?
The ESCOM work. ESCOM can sort of identify a rabbinic.
It's apparently next to the reservoir, so that they got an exemption.
Wow.
Hello,
That's
David.
amazing.
Welcome back, Kent. Nice to see you. Hope you're all better.
Thanks,
Hello,
Rabbi. Well on the road to recovery. Thank you so much. Thanks for all your good wishes.
Baruch
Well,
Hashem.
well, good to see you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at least, thank God, we have at least one representative of Johannesburg here. Thank you for coming, David.
Okay. I'm over. Oh, we're over.
Because I myself am in Gardens, Cape Town right now.
Yes, I know.
In fact, if not for Dave, I could just shout. I wouldn't even have to need the Zoom, you know.
Other than the mountain in your way. But...
Mountain in my way. Okay. Okay, we'll get through the mountain one of these days. We'll come around the mountain when she comes. Okay, right. Okay, so you're doing the laws of mourning, chapter 7. So you've done the basic stuff. Now some more interesting and sort of irregular issues. In Hebrew, it's called Shmua Krova or Shmua Rechoka. Shmua means news, what you hear. Krova is close, near, and Rechoka is far. So if you heard about a family member who you're obligated to sit Shiva for, close to the time of his passing, that's one halacha. If you heard about it late, after some weeks, then the halacha is different. So we'll soon see. Okay. Welcome, Mark. You're keeping anonymous today, I see. Okay. Misha Bola Shmua Shemes LeKorev. Following was applied when a person receives a report that a close relative of his died. Close relative meaning one of the 7 family members for whom one is obligated to sit Shiva, which is father, mother, brother, sister, son, daughter, spouse. If he received the report within 30 days, you have to understand, the Rambam lived over 800 years ago. The Gemara was twice as many years ago. And there was no instant global travel and communication then as there is today. So they didn't even have a postal service. So the Pony Express would arrive weeks after an event, and somebody would find out that his next of kin passed away. So if you're living today, I mean, I have family in New York. We live in South Africa. I'm sure many of you have family members around the world. But you know, you get a WhatsApp and you're instantly in communication. But in the olden days, it was not like that. So it could very well be that you would get the news more than 30 days after the person had died. They finished Shiva, the family, in the place where he died. They finished Shloshim the first 30 days. So if he received the report of his next of kin's death, even on the 30th day itself, it's considered Shmua Krova, a proximate report, meaning a close report. You're still close to the time of death. and you have to observe the 7 days of mourning from the time you receive the report. So you have to rend your garments, you have to tear kriya, tear the shirt, etc., and count 30 days for the prohibition against cutting one's hair and the other factors from that date. The general principle is the day on which he hears the report is like the day of the person's burial. So it's as if he was being buried today, and therefore today is day 1 of Shiva, and you have 7 days of Shiva, and you have 30 days from the day of the funeral to be out of Shloshim. If it's a parent, then you mourn for 12 months. But all other family relationships, as you will have surely learned in days before, is a 30-day period. So the norm is 30 days. It's only because we have to honor our father and mother, that for parents, we mourn for a full 12 months. If, however, a person receives the report after 30 days, it's considered Shmua Rechoka, a distant report. And he observes mourning rites for only 1 day. And he's not even required to tear kriya. He doesn't have to tear his shirt, to rend his garments. It's as if the day of the report is both the 7th day, meaning the last day, the end of Shiva, and the 30th day, the last day of Shloshim. And we follow the principle, Miktsas Hayom Kikulo. A portion of the day is considered as the entire day. So, anybody who's ever said Shiva Rahman San will know that day 7 is an abbreviated day. We don't have to sit the whole 7th day. You only have to sit part of the 7th day. Even 10 minutes, even less. You sit on the low chair, low couch, or hard bench that's low off the ground, and you sit for a few minutes, and whoever's there will comfort you, and then you have observed that day. So you've observed the 7th day by only observing part of it. And then we have the traditions, of ending the Shiva, different ways, different customs, different communities. So let's look at number 2. What do we mean that a portion of the day is considered as the entire day? Once one observed the mourning rites for a certain time, even a few minutes, he's permitted to wear shoes. So he begins sitting Shiva, he has to take off his shoes, and he's not allowed to bathe or have a haircut and all that stuff, or listen to music. But once he's observed it for a few minutes, then he's already able to put on shoes, leather shoes, wash himself, anoint himself, have a haircut. Similarly, as licensed not to observe any of the other mourning rites. So if you hear the news after 30 days, that means the immediate family who were probably with him at the time observed Shiva and Shloshim, and you're now living in somewhere in Yehupitz, Dredafendek, whatever they call it in Timbuktu, and you got the news more than 30 days later. You don't have to tear your shirt, you don't have to sit Shiva for a week, you just sit for a few minutes, and that is your 7 days, and that is your 30 days. 3. When a person hears a proximate report, meaning a nearby report, it wasn't 30 days, it was less than 30 days. But he hears the news in the middle of Yontif or on Shabbos. And let's say Shabbos is the 30th day. Yeah. And now you don't observe mourning on Shabbos or Yontif. You delay it till after. But after, the 30 days are already up. So the question now is this considered close news or distant news? You heard it within the 30-day deadline, but you couldn't do anything on day 30 because of Shabbos and Yontif. Now, after Shabbos and Yontif, now it's already day 31. So what's the halacha? So there says the Rambam, the Shabbos or the festival are counted for him. Thus, he observes only one day of mourning after the festival or after the Shabbos, and a portion of the day is considered as the entire day, as we explained above. Okay. So now you know. Number 4. What about a close relative for whom he has to sit Shiva dies, and he doesn't know about it, and he's traveling? Maybe he heard that his relative is sick, and he started traveling to go and see him. And he's on a caravan or on a donkey, or who knows how long it will take him to get to the place. By the time he gets there, the guy's already died. If he was in a close place, for example, within 10 parseot away, a parsa is 4 kilometers. I looked it up for you. A parsa is 4 kilometers. So 10 parses is 40 kilometers. So if he's within 40 kilometers of where the person died, lived and died, which we calculate is the amount you could travel in one day. Yeah, because in those days they weren't going by car or motorbikes or even bicycles. They were going on a horse or a donkey or a carriage or walking. So they said, they calculated that the most you could do, the average person in a day, is 40 kilometers. So if he was in a close place within 10 parasot or 40 kilometers away, where he could theoretically have come in one day and been there for the Shiva, let's say he lives 40 kilometers away, but he only went, he didn't know about the guy died, and he only got there on day 7. Let's see when he gets, if he came on the 7th day. Yeah. So if he could have theoretically come in one day because he's within 40 kilometers away, even if he came on the 7th day, they're sitting Shiva for a few minutes in the morning, they're about to get up, but they haven't yet completely gotten up. There are still people comforting them. And people are still offering comfort to the person of greatest stature in the family. That person, the patriarch or whoever it is still sitting Shiva. It's considered as if he was together with them for the whole of Shiva, even though he came in the last minute. But it's the last minute while they're still sitting Shiva. They haven't yet gotten up. So if he gets there in time, even the last minute, it's as if he was with them all 7 days, because theoretically he could have been there because he was only 40 kilometers or less away. This applies even if they had already begun to rise. So some of them are already standing up from Shiva. As long as he finds comforters, he counts with the other mourners. There's still people in the house comforting them. So it starts mamish the last minute. It's still okay. If he did not find any comforters, they've already gotten up from Shiva. There's nobody left in the house. They stood up already. Shiva's over. So he arrives 1 minute too late after Shiva is finished. Now he has to count for himself, meaning he has to count a full 7 days of Shiva. Similarly, if he comes from a distant place, which is beyond 40 kilometers, even if he comes on the 2nd day, he counts 7 on his own and 30 days for himself from the day he comes. I will just tell you that in the notes that I was reading, they comment, I had the question myself, and in the notes I found the answer. This is not the halacha today, what I just read, this paragraph here, the last paragraph before number 5, that even if he comes on the 2nd day of Shiva, he has to count 7 days and 30 days for himself. That's not, that, I never heard of that today. I've been a rabbi for 40 years and I never had that experience. Because today we live in a global village. Today, even you're 10,000 miles away, you're in Africa, and a family member in California passed away or something. More than 10,000 miles, more like 11,000 miles. But you could get there in one day. It's 15 hours to New York and 6 hours to Los Angeles is 21. It's less than a day. So you can get anywhere in the world today, from point A to point B, anywhere in the world within the day, within the 24-hour period. So therefore, what we tell people, if they're going, let's say someone's in South Africa and they lost a family member in America or Israel or Australia, and they want to go and be there, and they're not waiting for them for the funeral for whatever reason, but they're going to sit shiva with the family. So we tell them to tear kriya, to rend their garments, tear the shirt hair, and begin shiva now. And when they get there, they join the family for shiva, and they finish shiva with the family. So even though they were only sat with them 6 days or 5 days, depending on when they get there, they still get up with the rest of the family, and they still count together with us. I had the experience with my wife. When my mother passed away, we were in New York because she was ill. My father passed away rather suddenly, and but they waited for me for the funeral, which they don't always do in New York, to be honest, in the frum communities. But the Rav said they should wait for me. I'm the Bechor, the oldest son, and but when my wife is the youngest sister in the family, and they did not wait. And we got there when they were already sitting shiva the day after the funeral. So she joined her sisters in the shiva, and she tore a garment in Johannesburg. Actually, we were in Cape Town when we got the news, and we had to quickly fly to Johannesburg and catch a flight that night to New York. So, so the halach is not like it is here, like the Rambam says, because circumstances have changed. And today, anywhere in the world is considered like you're within the 40-kilometer distance, and therefore you sit shiva with the rest of the family, even if you come on the last day. 5. During the first 3 days of mourning, a mourner does not even go to the house of another mourner, meaning shiva, you're supposed to be homebound. You are sequestered, and it's the first 7 days are intense mourning where you don't even leave the house. Where did the whole idea of prayers come from? Because the mourner should ideally not leave the house, even to go to shul to say Kaddish. Ideally, we bring the minyan to him, so he doesn't have to leave the house for the 7 days. Where you cannot get a minyan together for morning and evening for 7 days, so we tell the mourner to go to shul to say Kaddish. But ideally, and in frum communities around the world, they have a minyan morning and evening for 7 days, and the mourner does not leave the house all 7 days. Now, there are certain exceptional circumstances when he may leave the house. So here he says, during the first 3 days, he should not go out for anything, even to the house of another mourner. So let's say his dear friend also lost a loved one and is sitting shiva, and he wants to comfort his friend. So he can go to the house. He's not leaving the house of mourning. He's still in the house of mourning. It's just a different house of mourning. So you're allowed to go, but not before 3 days. From day 4 to day 7, then you could go to another house of mourning. He does not sit together with those offering comfort as a visitor, which he came to do, but rather with those receiving comfort, because he too is in shiva. He's a mourner. He should not leave the entrance to his house to go any place for the entire first week. Certainly not to work. You should make arrangements to and your business should be closed for the week of Shiva, actually. During the second week, he may leave his home, but should not sit in his ordinary place. What does that mean? What do you think that means? He should not sit in his ordinary place? Any suggestions? Anybody know? Hazard a guess?
Change your seat. Don't sit same place on the
Where?
table,
Where?
dinner table,
No.
or anywhere else.
No,
A seat in the shul. Sorry, shul.
in the shul, exactly. Thank you.
Of course. Sorry.
In the shul, he should sit a bit further away from, let's say he has a front row seat, he should move to the second row or third row. During the third week, he may sit in his ordinary place, but should not speak in his ordinary manner. Meaning he shouldn't be jovial, you know, he's a happy-go-lucky guy, but he should be a bit more constrained. During the fourth week, he's like any other person, and he can behave normally. Now we have two exceptional individuals in the community who have exceptional rules with regard to them. The Kohen Gadol, the high priest, and the king of the Jewish people. For many generations, we had kings. So the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, is obligated to observe all the morning practices, except he is forbidden to rend his upper portion of his garments. Normally, we tear the shirt over the heart. The Kohen Gadol would tear the bottom of his robe, the hem at the bottom. It shouldn't be obvious because he's a person of such royal dignity as pasnit. It's unbecoming for him to have a big tear on his chest. So he would make a tear on the bottom. And he's forbidden to let his hair grow long. He is forbidden to follow the funeral procession. How's that? And the entire Jewish people come to his house to comfort him. When they bring him the meal of comfort, when do we eat the meal of comfort? Who knows?
When you come back from the cemetery.
Exactly. It's called Sudat Havra'ah. It's brought traditionally by friends. And that's when we have the bagels and hard-boiled eggs. You can also have fish and chips, you know, a steak and whatever, with a Scotch fillet, no problem. You're allowed to eat meat during Shiva, right? You learned that? When are you not allowed to eat meat or drink wine? When someone dies? Did you learn that? You should have learned it by now.
Shabbos.
No, you're not allowed to. On Shabbos, for sure you should. During Shiva, you're allowed to eat meat and drink wine. You're not allowed to when you're an onain. When you're an onain. Onain. What is an onain? You learned it?
Yeah.
The time
After death.
the time after death, before the funeral. During that period, you're an onain and you're exempt from mitzvahs, and you're not allowed to eat meat or drink wine. But during Shiva, you are allowed to. So you bring him, the Kohen Gadol, the comforting meal, bagels and eggs, whatever. I don't think they invented the bagel in the times of the Kohen Gadol, but they brought him hard-boiled eggs or lentils or whatever. Jacob was cooking lentils when Esav came in, right? In Bereshit, and Parshas told us in Genesis, and they did a swap, a barter arrangement. He was hungry, he wanted the lentils, and he gave him the birthright, right? It was a fair deal, a swap. He didn't steal it from him. Why was he cooking lentils? Jacob is a cook. Jacob is a chef. Jacob is a Torah scholar, not a chef. His name is Jacob, not Gordon Ramsay or something. He was cooking lentils to feed his father Isaac, Yitzchak, who was sitting Shiva, who had just lost his father Abraham. Yaakov Zayda, Avram Avinu, had passed away. So Yaakov, the grandson, was cooking lentils to give his father because they hadn't yet invented the bagel. So lentils was a round food that they had. spherical in shape. Okay, so you bring the Kohen Gadol the meal of comfort, and all the people sit on the ground, and the Kohen Gadol sits on a bench. And it does not mean today in South Africa there's tradition that a mourner sits on a hard bench, right? Yeah, that tradition in Cape Town too, or just Johannesburg? But halachically speaking, actually, it does not have to be hard and does not have to be a bench. What does it have to be? It has to be low.
Low.
It
Yeah.
has to be low, no more than 30 centimeters or 12 inches off the ground. In fact, many people have hard benches which are too high. So they observe the tradition of a hard bench, but they get it wrong because it's too high. So sometimes it's easier just to take off the cushion of your couch if it's removable and sit on the couch minus the cushion, and that's very simple. In our shul, we have 6 special chairs that we circumcise their legs, and they are low with a high back that people don't have to break their backs when they say Shiva, and we lend it out to people during Shiva. So they comfort. So he's the Kohen Gadol sitting on a normal bench, actually, not low to the ground. Everybody else is sitting on the ground, and they comfort him, and they say, Onu kaparoscha, we are your atonement. And he says, may you be blessed from heaven. If he desires to comfort others, let's say someone else is mourning and he wants to go and comfort him, his deputy has him positioned among the people in a respectable, dignified place, and he wishes them words of comfort. What about the king? The king is obligated to observe all the mourning practices, except he does not leave his palace for the funeral procession, even for his family. And for sure, he should not go to funeral processions for other people who are not his family. As pasnit, it's unbecoming for the king to mingle with the crowds in the funeral procession. Nor does he comfort mourners, so he doesn't visit Shiva houses generally. However, there's an exception in the story in Tanakh, which the Rambam brings here. Normally, the Rambam does not tell stories, it's a halachic work, but this is relevant to the halacha. King David followed Avner's funeral. Who was Avner? He was a famous general. And he followed Avner's funeral procession only, it was an exception. Normally the king does not do that. But King David did it when Avner was killed to show the people that he was not killed because of David. So what's the story? So I'll tell you the story in brief. It appears in Shmuel Hanavi, in the book of Samuel 2, in the prophets. After the death of King Saul, some of the tribes accepted Saul's son Ishbosheth as king, while the tribe of Judah followed King David. Avner was a general, powerful general, and he was the commander of Ishbosheth's army. And Ishbosheth's monarchy depended on Avner. After a bloody civil war, Avner decided to end the bloodshed and to accept King David's kingship. However, Yoav, who was the general of King David's forces, perpetrated a trick, a ruse, and he killed Avner. So maybe he didn't realize that Avner had already come to the conclusion to follow King David, and because he was following Ishbosheth, Yoav killed him. And David was very upset with his general Yoav's actions and exerted himself in public mourning for Avner to show that he had no hand in his execution. So the fact that King David went to Avner's funeral, which was an exception to the normal halacha, is just that, an exception. Because of the exceptional circumstances, David wanted to make a public show that he supported Avner, that he was not killed by his command. Finally, number 8, no one enters the king's presence to comfort him except his servants and those who have given special permission. So you don't have, the palace is not open for the crowds, for the masses to come and pay a shiva call. And they do not have permission to speak words of comfort except what he allows them. And when they serve him the meal of comfort, all the others recline on the ground, and he reclines on a dargesh. What is a dargesh? Anybody know?
Is it a couch? A couch.
The couch. Very good. Very good. It's a couch. Quite right. It's an old-fashioned couch. A low bed or a chair with a leather base that is tied to post by straps that is larger than a bench. Commentary on Rambam. Okay. Quick quiz. When a person hears a report of the death of a relative 30 days after they passed away, Shmua Rechoka, what is it in? A, B, or C?
Hey,
I'm going.
I think it's C. I think it's C.
And I think it's B. Huh? I'm wrong. Oh, he must rend his garments. You're right. Kent, well done. I thought it said.
thanks.
I thought it said he mustn't rend his garments. The report after 30 days and is not required to. Huh?
It's the paragraph above.
Oh, within 30.
Within 30
Sorry,
days.
what was the question? Maybe I misread the question.
After 30 days.
I think I misread the question. What was the question?
If you click on the,
He
on the
has a
top left,
report after 30 days.
Ah, 30 days. Hang on, I'm confused. Within 30 days, even on the 30th day itself, you must observe the 7 days of mourning.
But then it goes on.
After 30 days, he observes 1 day and is not required to rend his garments.
Maybe the 30 days still counts as the 30th day. It's a trick question.
1 second. Sorry, I'll call you back. I'm in a class. Did it say on the 30th day?
No, it didn't say that. The question didn't say that.
30 days after, he observed
That
1
means
day.
It could have been on the 30th day.
I am. Look at this. Number 1, if he receives the report within 30 days, even on the 30th day itself, he has to sit shiva. If he receives the report after 30 days, he observes 1 day and is not required to rend his garments. So I don't know that there's any situation where you are,
I think the answer is wrong. even though I chose it originally. I think it's wrong.
That's what I think.
But what about if
Because-
it's the 30th day? That he, when he, what about if he,
30th day
if
is
he
called
arrives on the
Krova.
30th day,
He has to sit Shiva.
for 1 day, yes. And
That
then he's gone.
depends where he lives. But he has to sit Shiva and he has to tear Kriya. If it's after 30 days, then he sits 1 day and he does not have to rend his garment. So I would challenge this answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
In
Does
fact,
a
the
king
notes.
observe? Does a king observe? What'd you say?
No, I was going to say, funny enough, the notes that I've got actually say that Rabbi Yitzhak Al-Fasi and others disagreed with Rambam because they said that you must rend your garments. So, yeah, it emphasizes that the question was wrong.
What book are you looking at?
Mishnah Torah, the I don't know what to call it.
Which one? Who's the publisher? With English?
Moznaim.
The one with English, the brown one with English.
Yes.
Oh, they have very good notes. Yeah. So what does he say there? That the Rif disagreed with the Rambam. But here we're talking. What did the Rambam say? The quiz.
No, I got it. That's what I'm saying. That this reinforces the fact that the question was wrong, or the answer was wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Does a king observe morning practices?
Yes.
He does, but he has certain differences from everybody
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
But he does sit Shiva, but he stays home. Okay, what law do we derive from the fact that King David followed Abner's funeral procession?
Number 3.
Yeah.
Number
Great.
3 is correct. Thank you.
Yeah. Number 3.
And so we can't learn anything because he was a king, and that was an exception. Number 4, may a mourner visit another during the week of mourning? A,
Yes.
B, or C?
B.
B. Yeah.
After
B.
3 days. Yeah.
Correct. Very good, guys. You've done well. Okay, we got 3 out of 4, but we're going to challenge that. Okay, who's writing to the editor?
You.
Right.
Not me.
Right.
Please feel free, any of you, to write to the editor and say we challenge the first question in the quiz. Okay, so I wish you all a Chag Kosher v'Sameach.
Thank you.
Thank you to you too. To you
And
too.
to you.
Next
and
week,
all.
Monday is Chol HaMoed, so we could theoretically learn, and I don't want to promise, but B'li Neder, let's hope that we'll be able to learn on Monday as well. Okay?
Good.
Thank you. Thank
Enjoy
you.
your Pesach. Have a
Have
kosher and freiliche Pesach.
Kol
Hag
Am
kosher
Yisrael.